Chapter 3, Pure Devotional Service, Change of Heart, Change in Heart, and verse number 14 today. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Śrī-Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnu-padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Sarasvatī Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Can everyone please consciously mute yourself, because there is someone who's unmuted and this echo coming back. Thank you. So verse number 14. Etachushustatam vidvan Sūta Ṛṣi bhashitum katha hari kathodarka satam syu sadashi dhruvam. Etachushustatam vidvan Sūta Ṛṣi bhashitum katha hari kathodarka satam syu sadashi dhruvam. Etachushustatam vidvan Sūta Ṛṣi bhashitum katha haridar kathodarka satam syu sadasi dhruvam. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda, Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Etat, this, sushushatam, of those eager to hear. Very important word. Sushushatam, of those eager to hear. Vidvan, O learned. Sūta Goswāmī, Naha, unto us, Arhasi, may you do it. Bhashitum, just to explain it. Katha, topics. Hari Katha Udar Kaha, results in the topics of the Lord. Satam, of the devotees. Syuh, maybe. Sadasi, in the assembly of Dhruvam, certainly. Translation. O learned Sūta Goswāmī, please continue to explain such topics to us, because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Purport. As we have already quoted from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, even mundane things, if dovetailed in the service of the Lord Shri Krishna, are accepted as transcendental. For example, the epics or the histories of Ramayana and Mahābhārata, which are specifically recommended for the less intelligent classes, women, Shudras, and unworthy sons of the higher castes, are also accepted as Vedic literature because they are compiled in connection with the activities of the Lord. Mahābhārata is accepted as the fifth division of the Vedas after its first four divisions, namely Sam, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva. The less intelligent do not accept Mahābhārata as part of the Vedas, but great sages and authorities accept it as the fifth division of the Vedas. Bhagavad-gītā is also part of the Mahābhārata, and it is full of the Lord's instruction for the less intelligent class of men. Some less intelligent men say that Bhagavad-gītā is not meant for householders, but such foolish men forget that Bhagavad-gītā was explained to Arjuna, a grihastha, family man, and spoken by the Lord in his role as a grihastha. So Bhagavad-gītā, although containing the high philosophy of the Vedic wisdom, is for the beginners in the transcendental science, and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is for graduates and postgraduates in the transcendental science. Therefore, literatures like Mahābhārata, the Puranas, and the similar other literatures, which are full of the pastimes of the Lord, are all transcendental literatures, and they should be discussed with full confidence in the society of great devotees. The difficulty is that such literatures, when discussed by professional men, appear to be mundane literature like histories or epics, because there are so many historical facts and figures. It is said here, therefore, that such literatures should be discussed in the assembly of the devotees. Unless they are discussed by devotees, such literatures cannot be relished by the higher class of men. So the conclusion is that the Lord is not impersonal in the ultimate issue. He is the Supreme Person and He has His different activities. He is the leader of all living entities and He descends at His will by His personal energy to reclaim the fallen souls. Thus, He plays exactly like the social, political, or religious leaders. Because such roles ultimately culminate in the discussion of topics of the Lord, all such preliminary topics are also transcendental. That is the way of spiritualizing the civic activities of human society. Men have inclinations for studying history and many other mundane literatures, stories, fiction, dramas, magazines, newspapers, etc. So let them be dovetailed with the transcendental service of the Lord, and all of them will turn to the topics relished by all devotees. The propaganda that the Lord is impersonal, that He has no activity, and that He is a dumb stone without any name and form has encouraged people to become godless, faithless demons, and the more they deviate from the transcendental activities of the Lord, the more they become accustomed to mundane activities that only clear their path to hell instead of return them home back to Godhead. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam begins from the history of the Pandavas with necessary politics and social activities, and yet Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is said to be the Paramhamsa Samhita, or the Vedic literature meant for the topmost transcendentalist, and it describes Param Jnanam, the highest transcendental knowledge. Pure devotees of the Lord are all Paramhamsas, and they are like the swans who know the art of sucking milk out of a mixture of milk and water. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai, Bhaktivedanta purports ki jai. So here we see Śaunaka Ṛṣi is speaking to Sūta Goswāmī. So such a wonderful purport. It's actually purports like this must be studied 2 or 3 times so that we understand what and how many various points Prabhupada is making here. But before that, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. So, topics of Krishna, topics of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Many points are made here. Of course, Prabhupada says in the beginning that anything can be dovetailed in the service of Lord Krishna, and even mundane things. And that this is called what we call Yukta-Vairāgya. Anything, I think we're told that anything can be used in the service of Krishna except envy. The material envy which is there, except that everything can be used in service of Krishna. And here, even the mundane topics, so far as Prabhupada says here, the history of Pandavas has been given, how, the war is finished, Dhritarashtra is staying with Yudhishthira Maharaj, Krishna is leaving Hastinapur to go to Dwarka, Queen Kunti is, bidding him goodbye. Pandavas are retiring, so all these topics are discussed here. But Prabhupada says here that anything in relation to Krishna is accepted as transcendental. And then he goes on to describe the importance of Ramayana and Mahābhārata, and how Mahābhārata is the 5th Veda, and Bhagavad-gītā being a part of Mahābhārata, how it is also a very important scripture. Prabhupada makes 2 statements here, which are, you can say, apparently contradictory. Prabhupada says that Bhagavad-gītā is also full of Lord's instruction for the less intelligent class of men. But then Prabhupada also says that Bhagavad-gītā, although containing the high philosophy of the Vedic wisdom, but is for the beginners of the transcendental science. Of course, we know that there are devotees who live their life by Bhagavad-gītā. And so many instructions are given in Bhagavad-gītā, so much of Siddhanta is given that, devotees call Bhagavad-gītā as life manual, our life manual. So this is the life manual of the devotees. Now, we can see here Sūta Goswāmī has given the account of Sukadeva Goswami's instructions to Maharaj Parikshit. Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Now we have come to the Lord in the heart, the pure devotional service, the change in the heart, the change in the heart. So we know that when we come to devotional service, we do everything, the 5 S's we have described quite a few times, but it is important for us to remind ourselves of the last S here. The 5 S's are, we start with Shraddha, then we have Sangha, then we perform our sadhana, then we perform seva, and then, of course, we have Sadachara. Sadachara means transformation of the character. So this should happen. And then Prabhupada warns here that yes, even though we dovetail everything in the service of Krishna, but that also has to be done under the guidance of our seniors, the guidance of the spiritual master, under the guidance of Śrīla Prabhupāda, and also in the assembly of devotees. Now, why even hearing of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam? There are so many Bhagavad-gītā reciters in India, the professional reciters. But why is it so important to hear about Krishna and not to hear from non-devotees? Hear about Krishna from devotees and not to hear about Krishna from non-devotees. So, hearing about Krishna from non-devotees, what happens is it will plant false and mundane concepts about Krishna in the heart. That, the professional reciters or the non-devotees, they just, even though they many times say Krishna is Bhagwan, Apurna Purushottam Bhagwan and all that, but the entire discussion then goes on to what we call in Sanskrit or Hindi or Gujarati, Laukik Vyavhar. Just mundane, the Gramya Katha, you can say, Gramya Katha, about, what to do in normal life. And then generally it is diverted towards the Rasa Leela. So then it makes Krishna as ordinary person. But Śaunaka Ṛṣi, after hearing so far from Sūta Goswāmī, he knows that both Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj are very exalted devotees. And that the exchange of words, the exchange of Krishna-kathā between them is very, very potent. So Śaunaka Ṛṣi has got full confidence in Sūta Goswāmī's qualification. He knows that Sukadeva Goswami is going to accurately convey the dialogue, and Śaunaka Ṛṣi, Sūta Goswami is going to, Sukadeva Goswami is going to accurately describe to Parikshit Maharaj, and Sūta Goswami is going to accurately convey the dialogue to the assembled sages here. So that's why, even after hearing so much, Śaunaka Ṛṣi is expressing his eagerness to hear more and more and more. He knew that by hearing from Sūta Goswami, everyone present there, himself, all the sages of Naimisharanya, would be actually able to experience Krishna. We can see that when we have, visiting senior devotees, when they speak, there's a difference in our reception because of their purity. So Śaunaka Ṛṣi is understanding that everyone, including himself and sages of Naimisharanya, would be able to experience Krishna because Krishna is himself present wherever devotees speak about him and hear about him purely. So this is what it is, yes, that when Krishna's topics is being discussed in the assembly of devotees, the purity is of a very different level. The purity is of a very different level. Prabhupada says in one of the lectures in Mumbai, Prabhupada says that yes, we have to discuss Krishna-kathā among devotees. Says Krishna's place, Golok Vrindavan, is not concentrated in just one place. It is not that, okay, there is entire creation, 3/4 is spiritual creation, 1/4 is material creation, and in that 3/4 creation, the spiritual world, there is Golok Vrindavan. Prabhupada says, no, Golok Vrindavan is spread everywhere. Now, how does this Golok Vrindavan become spread? He says, as soon as there is a devotee, as soon as there's a devotee, Yatra Tishtani Narada, Yatra Gayanti Mad Bhakta. Wherever Narad, my devotees are speaking about me, He says, I am there. Golok Vrindavan is there. So we can understand that when the pure devotees, Katyantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Viraj Prabhu has been kindly discussing the Chaturshloki in Sunday feast. And he's mentioning that, yes, Krishna says that wherever my topics are being discussed between the devotees, they are satisfied and they are happy. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Now we can understand that, yes, Krishna's topics are being discussed. And um, um, all the anarthas are going away from our hearts. But then Prabhupada also mentioned here in the purport, he's saying that Bhagavad-gītā, although containing the highest philosophy, is for the beginners, and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So he says, yes, anyone who wants to hear the Mahābhārata, the Puranas, and similar other literature, whatever propensity you have, if you are a beginner who's interested in mundane literature, you are interested in any type of literature, Bhagavatam will fulfill that rasa. As we know, also today, I forgot to mention in the beginning that today is the most divine disappearance day of His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Goswāmī Prabhupada, the spiritual master of Śrīla Prabhupāda. And hopefully we can discuss a little bit about him, because his glories also are unlimited, like the Lord Himself. And that's why he is called a ray of Vishnu. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj is called the Lion Guru, and is also called the ray of Vishnu. So hopefully we can discuss a little bit about that. These are the times when we think 25 minutes is not enough to discuss Krishna-kathā. But anyway, what to do? We are limited. So when we want to hear these topics of Krishna-kathā, as we know that we have 5 primary rasas in connection with Krishna: Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So we can associate with Krishna in these 5 primary rasas. But then there are other 7 rasas also. And some of us, when we start our spiritual life, and even when we continue our spiritual life, the other 7 rasas are also coming to us from these descriptions in these scriptures. We have, someone wants comedy, someone wants humor, hasya rasa. It's there. The Leela between Krishna and his cowherd friends. A lot of humor is there in that. How Krishna is joking with his cowherd friends, and the cowherd friends are also, in turn, jokes with him. Then there is Adbhut Rasa, the Vismaya Rati, the surprise element. Krishna surprises everyone. The pastimes are there where surprise is there. Then there is the chivalry, the Veera Rasa, the Utsaha Rati is there. Then there is lamentation, the Karuna Rasa. There's a lot of lamentation when Krishna leaves Vrindavan. The Shokarati, the anger is there, the Raudra Rasa. In Ramayana, you can see that Ram gets angry so many times. Raudra Rasa is there in Narsimhadev pastime. Narsimhadev is the Raudra Swarupa, the Krodharati. Then there is fear, the Bhayanaka Rasa, the Bhayarati. And there is disgust, the Bibhatsarati, the Jugupsa. Jugupsa is something, you get disgusted by, seeing something. So we can see that all these rasas, when we hear from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, from these scriptures, but in the association of devotees, we will actually be able to understand that, yes, all our propensities are fulfilled when we hear from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Very interestingly, please hear very carefully now, very interestingly, Narad Muni is actually speaking to Maharaj Yudhishthir in the 7th canto. And he speaks a very, very beautiful verse, very, very beautiful verse. But a very interesting verse, a very tricky verse. He says, Yatha vairāṇu bandhena martyastanmayatam iyat na tatha bhakti yogena iti me nischita matihi. Yatha vairāṇu bandhena. Vaira means enmity. Martyas tanmayatam iyat. Na tatha bhakti yogena. He says, not even bhakti yoga doesn't give you. So the translation, basically Narad Muni tells to Maharaj Yudhishthir. Now for us it is very interesting because we are on the process of devotional service. He says, by devotional service, one cannot achieve such intense absorption in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one can through enmity toward Him. So he's saying that it is better to have enmity towards Krishna because your absorption will be more intense than Bhakti Yoga. Narad Muni says, that is my opinion. That is my opinion, that by devotional service, you cannot achieve such intense absorption as you can achieve through enmity towards Krishna. Now, how does that work? We are told, of course, Rupa Goswami, the higher principle is Anukulya Krishnanu, that we have to perform devotional service which is favorable to Krishna, not inimical or not unfavorable to Krishna. Of course, that is the higher principle. But here, Prabhupada explains very beautifully that Prabhupada quotes again Krishna's Kaviraj, that Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami himself in Chaitanya Charitamrita says that I am lower than Jagai and Madhai, the two worst sinners. Whatever worst sin anyone could perform, it was performed by Jagai and Madhai. And Krishna's Kaviraj says, I am lower than the worm in the stool. Prabhupada also quotes that when a devotee comes to Srimati Radharani and does some service to Krishna, like how we are all doing, even Srimati Radharani thinks that this devotee is greater than she. Radharani thinks that this devotee is so great, I have not done anything like that. Here Prabhupada says, the essential point in this connection is that yes, we should be absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna 24 hours a day. But here Prabhupada says that Narad Muni is expressing his humility also. That somehow or the other, I am not at that level because I am approaching Krishna through devotional service. But people who are inimical to Krishna, they are very, very much intensely absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. Of course, scriptures don't suggest for us that we follow that path because, as I said, the higher principle is Anukulena Krishnanu Shīlanam Bhakti Uttama. That we have to follow, we have to do service for Krishna, following the footsteps of the Vrajvasis who are performing devotional service favorably to Krishna. Then Narad Muni goes on to explain a couple of verses, very beautiful verses, 7th Canto, 1st chapter, 30 and 31st verses, where in different ways, in different rasas, devotees approach Krishna. Kamad dveshad bhayat snehad yatha bhakteshware manah avesha tadagam hitva bahavas tadgatim gata. Many persons have attained liberation simply by thinking of Krishna with great attention and giving up sinful activities. This great attention may be due to lusty desires, kamat, inimical feelings, dveshad, fear, bhayat, affection or devotional service, snehad. And then he says, he gives example. He says examples of who? He says, Gopya kamat bhayat kamsho dveshat chaidyadayo nripaha sambandhad vrishnaya snehad yuyam bhaktya vayam vibho. So Narad Muni gives example. He says, my dear King Yudhishthir, the Gopya kamad, gopis by the lusty desire, bhayat kamsho, kamsha by his fear, dveshat chaidyadayo nripaha, that Shishupal, Chediraj is Shishupal and other kings by envy. And then he says, Nripa is Sambandhad Vishnaya, the Yadus by their familial relationship with Krishna. Snehad Yuyam, that you Pandavas by your devotional service bhaktyam vayam vibho. And us, Narad Muni quotes himself, by devotional service, we have obtained the mercy of Krishna. So this way, so many rasas are given here. We can approach Krishna in so many rasas, so many humors. But of course, Prabhupada says, till the time you have material body, you consider yourself as neophyte and worship Krishna in the neophyte stage by following the Vaidhi Bhakti, by following the process of devotional service as given by Śrīla Prabhupāda in Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, and other scriptures. What happens is, yes, we follow the authorities, and today is Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's disappearance day. And of course, as we know, he's called the Lion Guru, the Simha-guru, because during his time, so many Upper Sampradayas were there. I think almost 13 Upper Sampradayas were there who were propagating different irreligions, different forms of irreligions. And one by one, with his intellectual, solid devotional service, he could defeat each of them one by one. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed to the Lord to give him a ray of Vishnu. And Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, he appeared as a ray of Vishnu. He was a Naishtiki brahmachari. And before he started preaching, and he was, of course, Prabhupada, he followed Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, can I take the liberty of saying almost literally, because Bhaktisiddhanta was revolutionary. What others, didn't even think about that. He did just for the sake of preaching, in his times. A little story, as everyone knows, that he was determined, and he was determined to be a wonderful devotee. So when he was a 5-year-old boy, there was some mangoes brought into the house, and he ate one mango without being offered to the Lord. And when his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he returned and he found out that a mango was eaten without being offered to the Lord, he said, no, we have to offer everything to the Lord. And because he had committed an offense against the Lord, he did not eat ripe mangoes all his life. Evidence says that he gave himself a concession of eating raw mangoes, and he used to like raw mango chutney, and he used to relish that very much. Before starting his preaching movement, he took shelter of the holy name, and he chanted 1 billion names. I think 184 or 192 rounds every day, almost close to what Haridas Thakur used to chant, Namacharya. And then he started preaching. There are many pastimes. Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, he appeared in Jagannath Puri, and the Rath Yatra, it was the Rath Yatra time, and Ratha was passing, and the Ratha just stopped in front of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. And despite all the efforts, the Ratha just won't move. And then, someone realized that something has to be done, and they brought Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura out on the Rath cart. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, he was placed at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath, and immediately a garland from Lord Jagannath fell upon Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And, we see many times falling of garland is a very important symptom, a very important signal that, this personality is going to be a great personality. We have very limited time. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, again, as I said, many things he did. He used to, when he used to hold festivals, I've read, I think in the book Ray of Vishnu, that the pandals, in Burbank, we have a pandal which is, just probably few square meters, whereas the pandals which Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj used to, have were in miles and square miles. And he will have various dioramas, and, hundreds of thousands of people will come to get educated in spiritual life by just seeing those dioramas. So he was the one who had invented those dioramas. and so many other preaching techniques which we are following, which Prabhupada has given us, also originated from Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. So it'd be nice to meditate upon his divine qualities, his divine pastimes, his divine character, and try to find, I think his name is Jayatirtha Charan Prabhu from New Zealand. He compiles all these biographies of Vaishnavacharyas. So it'd be nice for us to read and meditate today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Goswami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Jagadguru Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. If anyone has any questions or comments, I know it's past time. Please unmute and share. Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for joining. It's a great pleasure. Today is my last class for this calendar year because we are traveling to Vrindavan and Jaipur. I also wanted to glorify, but when I come back, I'll glorify some devotees who have wonderfully performed services during the year. Of course, we cannot name everyone in just one class, so we will be continuing to glorify these devotees. And it is said that when you glorify a Vaishnava, you get their blessings. So even when we say, Jai Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, we get the blessing from them. So even when we glorify the devotees among ourselves, hopefully we get some blessings so that we can progress in our spiritual lives. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. Have a safe trip. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.